A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. Penguin Random House Audio presents Star Wars Mace Windu, The Glass Abyss by Stephen Barnes. Read for you by William Demeritt.
"Tell us the story again," the child said. "It is late," the webkeeper said, knowing she had already lost the argument. "Please," they all cried. The webkeeper's lips curled in a mock frown, and then she nodded agreement. She had never tired of this story, and if life was kind, she never would. "Once within the web," she began, "there was a wounded world, a land of crystalline wonder, a people balanced on the edge of disaster." The children elbowed one another and whispered in anticipation. This was more than a good story. It was the very best. She continued, "But spinners never despaired, knowing that all existence is connected through the web, and that one day a warrior would come, the fiercest in the galaxy, drawn by duty, but bound by love." Chapter 1. The Stranger, Metagos. Staff in hand, the stranger arrived in the slums of New Zaxxis, capital city of the planet Metagos. In days past, the underground caverns housing New Zaxxis had been derisively referred to as the Glass Abyss, thanks to the gigantic crystal obelisks towering proudly from the ground like stalagmites or hanging from the ceiling like jagged, broken fangs. The entire city was laid out like a wagon wheel, with roads and canals sectioning it off. The very poorest section, sometimes called the Children's Maze, was situated at the hub. Swathed in black leather, the stranger was tall, lithe, and human. His face was almost as dark as his ankle-length bantha hide coat. With his every step along the slum streets, moisture oozed around the edges of his boots, drawn from deep artisanal wells. Gaping volcanic vents in nearby vacant lots jetted steam that drifted upward toward the ceiling, forming into wispy clouds which personal flight craft, birds, and leather-winged reptiles glided through. 3 armed enforcers appeared, 1 human and 2 Zilka, much like 4-legged armored bugs. "Here's an ugly one," the human cried, laughing. He and one of the Zilka were armed with shock prods. The other bug carried a halberd with a smear of dried blood on the blade. "All you humans are ugly," the halberd-wielding Zilka said to his human companion. "But this one could give lessons." They cackled at the mild witticism. The stranger seemed to ignore them, but if they thought he hadn't noticed, then they'd missed the angry glint in eyes as black as a blaster's barrel. "Checkpoint, stranger," the first enforcer, the Zilka carrying the shock prod, said. "Citizen or newcomer?" "Newcomer. Rimrunner. Just landed." "Are you armed?" he asked. The newcomer nodded and carefully thumbed aside his black cloak, revealing the hilt of a holstered blaster. Under the triple threat of their weapons, they disarmed him of the pistol but ignored his 2-meter brown staff, formed from some seamed and knotty wood. "Gotta have the right credentials," the second said, the human, a big male with outsized hands. Strangler's hands. "No weapons. You can enter," the third said, and the second laughed. "He won't live long," one said, as if the newcomer were not standing directly before them. "Welcome to New Zaxxis," the third sneered. The stranger scanned a few buildings and spotted a placard promising gaudy entertainment a few steps away. He walked half a block, ignoring solicitations and questioning eyes, until he found the sign reading Vinvin's Wheelhouse and pushed through the door. The interior was crowded with tables and noisy, but the bar proper seemed underpopulated, and he found himself a seat. The bartender's name was Vinvin Sunfall. He was a reptilian Metagosan, with all the dense, almost casually brutal musculature famous among a similar breed, the Trandoshans. It had been a busy night, with patrons enjoying their drink and food, and the music of the Zaxxas Axis Quartet and acrobatic dancers. Hot licks, cool tricks. But he noticed the stranger when the doors opened. Vinvin noticed everything. It was one reason he was still alive when the rest of his family fed the web. Without speaking a word, the stranger pointed a finger at a glass of foamy brown bitters currently being drained by a Mune miner, then lifted that finger in request. He seemed a man whose fondest wish was to be left in peace. When the stranger had entered, he'd moved as if gliding on rails. His brown eyes suggested a soft yet focused gaze. This was a man of action who was seeking calm. No, he was the center of calm and would remain so even amid violent action. Vinvin's fingers brushed Bloodhammer, the massive peacekeeper under the bar. He hoped he wouldn't have to reach for it, at least in part because the thought of fighting this newcomer twisted his gut. Vinvin poured, served, and took a coin in return. He'd have then moved his attention elsewhere, but two enforcers, a human and one of those annoying Zilka bugs, swaggered through the door, wafting attitude and unwashed skin. The Zilka's powerful musk glands reeked of adrenal danger. The pair pushed their way through the crowd and bracketed the stranger. It seemed to Vinvin that they were attempting to renew a discussion that began outside. "You strut in here like a harch on death sticks," the human said. "Who are you working for?" No reply. The Zilka, the taller of the two, leaned over and drooled a greenish gob of sputum into the stranger's drink and then stepped back, smirking, awaiting a response. Nothing. The musicians continued to play their percussion and wind instruments, and the dancers writhed in display of skill. The murmur of conversation and the clink of glasses and cutlery continued as if nothing had happened. When the stranger didn't react, the shorter said, "He's a brave one." They chortled, jostling each other merrily as they left. Did they think the stranger was afraid of them? Or had they sensed the same danger signs that had raised his own hackles? The stranger calmly pointed again, raised the same finger a second time, and slipped a coin onto the bar. This one is interesting, Vinvin thought. The dark, strong face exhibited no fear and no anger in response to the provocation. In fact, there was no reaction at all. "What brings you here, stranger?" Vinvin asked, the sibilant hiss typical of his species lengthening the last word. "Heard there's work." The bartender polished a glass. "For the right kind of man," he chuckled slyly. "Or maybe the wrong kind, if you know what I mean." Vinvin gave a practiced wink. The stranger raised an eyebrow. The rest of his face didn't move. Impressive. "How about one who doesn't mind dirtying his hands?" the stranger said. Maya 12, a holo droid who appeared to be wearing a business suit, sized the stranger up. She morphed her appearance to resemble a severe, alert, dark-skinned human female and approached him. She was a regular. Her sister droids, Maya 8 and Maya 14, were the acrobatic dancers in the Zaxxas Axis. Maya 12 used Vinvin's wheelhouse as a base of operation, connecting with clients for everything from bodyguarding to therapy, language lessons, massage, and private investigation. She and her sisters had never created a problem for Vinvin, and that was mostly what mattered. "New here, stranger? Need orientation? A tourist guide?" I have connections to the Sa'ad. Care to meet us?
Sample complete. Ready to continue?